Greetings everyone, it's been a while since I've made a video, and especially since I've made a video about this Riparium which we have in our bedroom. And this is a 140 liter tropical setup. It's a kind of a biotope of Rio Negro in South America. We've set it up quite a long time ago. I think this setup is over a year now, so it's not a fresh setup. And yeah, overall I've been really busy with work, and I had some problems with my back, so I couldn't really focus on fish keeping much, and I couldn't really do proper water changes on the system. So this setup has been somewhat neglected, I would say. So I haven't done a water change on it for approximately a month. Of course, I top up water after it evaporates. I add some fresh water, some fresh filtered water, but I haven't been doing much of other types of maintenance on this tank. And luckily for myself, this tank actually does not require too much maintenance. It's a kind of a self-sustainable system. The only thing I need to do is to feed fish, add some fertilizers for plants, top up water, and basically that's it. So previously I was also trying to keep this system black water, so I was adding leaf litter, I was adding some rooibos tea to keep the water dark and to add tannins to the system, but because of the things that I've said before, I had no time to take care of these things, and it's not really a black water tank anymore. It's kind of a darkish still, and it still has some tint and still has some tannins, so it's kind of a semi-black water setup, but I certainly don't have time and I don't have energy to maintain it to the same level I did before. But yeah, so I thought I'll make an update on this system. So I will talk about the upper part of this setup, about the riparian part of this setup, and I will also talk about underwater part of this setup, what's happening with the fish, how are they doing, what kind of fish I have here. So alright, let's get started. So the riparian part of this tank, it's actually, there have been some ups and downs with plants here, and some of the plants are thriving while others are not doing so good. So let's start with this corner. Over here we have this monstera here. This is just a regular monstera deliciosa, and it's actually not doing very well. You can see there's just 3 leaves left. It's not really dying, but it's not really shooting fresh growth either. One plant that is really thriving in here is pothos. I've got here lots of pothos and some really large leaves and some really enormously lush pothos. There's a lot of it in the back and there's a lot of it in front, and it's kind of all over the place. Okay, the other plant that is thriving here is peace lily or spathiphyllum. You can see that this is peace lily, and it has lots of fresh growth. Actually, I'll try to show you. There are some fresh leaves in here and all over the place, and now it's actually started flowering. These are one of the flowers, and there is another flower in here. So it's actually doing absolutely great, and it's a massive plant. You can see that it's probably over 3 feet tall, and yeah, it's thriving certainly, and there was no decay on it for quite a while. This is Spanish moss, and I'm not too happy with it. It's actually growing, and I think it's alright, but it's not too lush, and it's not what it used to be when I just added it. So I think well, it's surviving but probably not thriving. And there's more Spanish moss in the back here, which is also kind of doing all right. Over there we have Philodendron micans, that plant in here. It's kind of a vine that goes down. It actually grows with its roots in the fish tank, and it goes up. It's actually doing all right, but it's not a fast grower. I can see some fresh leaves popping up, and I think it's doing okay. Over here we have some bromeliad. This is a flame, I think flame red bromeliad. Previously we used to have quite a bunch of bromeliads growing up there, but I removed them to our vivarium because I realized that they require a lot of moisture. they dry up really fast. If I water them every day, the next morning they're already completely dry, and that's probably because they need to be kept in a vivarium or paludarium type of environment where there is a high levels of moisture, high levels of humidity, and this is something clearly I can't provide them in our bedroom. So, and also I can't really water them every single day, and I can't miss this system every single day as well. I usually missed this whole setup about once in 3 days, and we're going to spray these plants with water a moment later, but I just wanted to show you everything that's happening in here. Yeah, so basically some of the plants are doing great, others are kind of surviving. I certainly have much fewer plants here than I used to have before, again because of competition for light. Those plants that are kind of closer to the light, closer to LED lamps, are doing better, but everything that is in the lower parts of this tank is actually they don't get enough light, so they don't grow as fast, and it all comes down to light. I fertilize these plants once a week. I use some aquarium complete TNC fertilizers, and they seem to enjoy those fertilizers. Alright, so let's move down. Previously I used to have a more powerful LED lamp in here, and all this carpet of floating water lettuce was doing much better. They were really lush and they were really huge. They had really long root systems. But that LED lamp got broken because I spilled water on it, so it got burned down. And I added this spotlight lamp, which is much weaker. So we have now a problem here with this carpet of floating plants. You can see that lots of them are actually dying. There are lots of yellow leaves in here, and they just generally really small. They're not lush anymore. I would probably remove all of these plants and replace them with something else, but I cannot, because I've noticed that there are quite a lot of juvenile pencil fish living among these plants, and they're fry. They were born probably like a couple of weeks ago or something like that, and I don't want to disturb this carpet of floating plants because of those juveniles. I will get them spooked, and they will be probably picked up by the rest of the fish. Before we move any further, I wanted to show you some problems that I have here with this 3D background that we've made quite a while ago. It's actually a great looking background, and I'm quite happy with how it holds together. Looks very natural, and yeah, certainly overall it was a successful project. But the upper part of it is bending. You can see here there is kind of a crack in between those pieces of plywood, and it's not on the level, it's not straight, it's actually bending this way. I guess because this LED lamp in here, it's really heavy, and it's kind of pulling this whole structure down, which is not a very great thing, and I'm thinking that I'll probably will have to replace this lamp with a smaller lamp, which will affect the growth of the plants, because they are really enjoying this lamp. But I don't see any other solution. This entire kind of a frame that keeps these LED lights is not something that I like. I'm not really comfortable with it, but there is no other option. The better solution would have been to attach those LED lights to the ceiling, but this is a rented flat. We're going to be moving out of it soon, and I don't want to make any damage to the ceiling, so I just have to come up with some solution that will hold these LED lamps without attaching them to the ceiling or doing anything else to the walls. So that's what it is. I don't know how safe it is and whether this is actually the upper part is going to collapse or not, but I will be thinking about some solutions. Well, I'm filming this tank from the side, from this angle, because it's a bright and sunny day and there's so much reflection. I will add footage from the other angle when we'll make it later on in the evening, but I just wanted to kind of say a few things about the inhabitants and the contents underwater part of this fish tank. So as you can see, it's no longer black water, but there's still heaps of botanicals on the ground, or on the bottom of the tank. Well, essentially it's ground for the fish. You can see our checkerboard cichlids. They actually are quite brave and inquisitive. There's one larger and 4 smaller ones. They're still juveniles. They're clearly not mature yet. That's one of the bigger ones, and they are quite peaceful to each other or to other fish. They don't seem to fight at the moment. I guess that's because they are not mature yet. They're still juveniles, and they're very active and great looking fish. The feature fish of this fish tank are of course cardinal tetras. There is quite a group of them in here. They're all wild caught cardinals, and they're really wonderful fish, and certainly underrated with experienced fish keepers. It's usually considered a fish for beginners, but actually I absolutely love them, and I would keep more of them if I had an opportunity. Yeah, and I will certainly keep a lot of them in a larger tank later on. The other fish that I have here are 3 species of pencilfish, Nanostomus. Right here you can see a so-called red Brazil Nanostomus. I believe it's an undescribed species. I bought them at Pierre Aquatics a while ago, and males are quite bright red. You can see male. I'll try to zoom in on male. Where is it? Yes, that's male in here. He's quite bright red and quite aggressive. I believe they breed in here because there's some fry which does look like them, and here we have some Nanostomus marginatus pencil, dwarf pencils. They also breed in here, and these are actually F1 because their parents were wild caught from Peru, and these are F1 generation. And we also have here wild caught Nanostomus beckfordi. I'll try to find where it is. Oh, that's Nanostomus red Brazil. So there are 3 species of Nanostomus, and in total about 15 fish, or maybe more, actually probably more. And they are breeding in here. And surprisingly, most of their fry, well, not most, I think quite a few of their fry actually survive to adulthood because no one else is eating them. I guess other Nanostomus are not interested in them. I also have here a group of Corydoras CW28 and Corydoras duplicaria. They are quite nocturnal, so they will hide throughout the day. I will add some footage of them being active in the evening. That's usually when they come out from their hiding places. But other than that, they usually stay inside. Yeah, that's okay. This guy is really fast. That's Nanostomus red Brazil. I bought 4 of them, 2 males and 2 females, a couple of months ago, and they are actually all alive and doing quite great. Very inquisitive, very active fish. I absolutely love their colors. Unfortunately, quite difficult to film them because they are always on the move. Yes, here they are. Okay, let's have a look at this fish tank from the other angle. There are a couple of coconut shells inhabited by Corydoras, and yeah, there's lots of roots of riparian plants in here in this part as well, and fish seem to enjoy them. Yeah, I would be able to make a good footage of cardinal tetras from this angle, and they are quite majestic, absolutely beautiful fish. This is one of the checkerboard cichlids. I'm trying to focus on it. Yeah, they still are quite plain, so they don't have much colors on them, and yes, certainly not sexually mature yet, because they all look like females at the moment, but they're growing, they're getting there. I have here actually 2 groups of cardinal tetras, my older cardinal tetras and some younger cardinals which I've bought recently at Pierre Aquatics. Both of them are wild-caught cardinals. They have absolutely outstanding colors. Right. It's almost impossible to film corridors, but that's what it is for now. So despite the lack of frequent water changes, the fish seem to be thriving again because there are so many riparian plants that oxygenate the water, that remove excessive nutrients and remove nitrates, ammonia certainly. So the water quality is top notch. I've done a few tests recently and they all show the top results. Actually, there's so little nitrates in here that I'm quite worried about the health of the plants, and that's why I have to fertilize the plants, because all of these small fish, they don't produce much nutrients, and I have to add something else for plants to feed on. Okay, if you were wondering what do I feed my fish, actually there's quite a few things that I currently feed them. Their staple food is bug bites, fluval bug bites. They absolutely love that, and there's great nutrition content in here. I also feed Corridorus this Vitalis catfish pellets, which they absolutely love, and I feed them this tetra tablets, Tabimine. I bought this thing as well, which is probiotics food for smaller fish, but nobody seems to like this food, and literally none of my fish is actually eating this, and yeah, it was probably quite a waste of money. Right, I'll try to feed them with bug bites flakes. I'm sorry about the reflection, unfortunately it's quite bad, but hopefully feeding video will be more or less watchable. Yeah, normally Nanostomus are the most active feeders, and they're really greedy feeders actually. These are some Nanostomus beckfordi, and below is a Nanostomus red Brazil. Quite a lot of this food will go down and will be eaten by cardinal tetras and dwarf cichlids. Right, so that was a bit of an update on this Riparium system, and yeah, I hope you liked it. And again, we will be moving to a new place in approximately a couple of months, so that's why I don't really do anything to this system, and I kind of let it run the way it is, because when we move to a new place, I'll have to basically tear this apart, and I'll have to remove the plants, I have to remove the fish in order to set it up in a new apartment. So yeah, I don't do anything significant to this setup. It just stays the way it is, and plants and fish, they seem to be thriving overall, and that's what it is for now. And yeah, I'll keep you updated on this system, and soon I will be making a few more new videos.